Here we are, down at Stanwick Lakes in Northamptonshire, fishing Elsons Lakes. There's some amazing fish to be had here, all for the price of a day ticket. So public access water. And I've come down here, middle of November, to try and catch a few. Got really happily woken up this morning with this fish, one of the A-team in the lake. This one's called Scar for obvious reasons, a proper gnarly old common. And what a fish to start this session with. So let's have a closer look at the fishery we're at today. So yeah, as you can see, I've been joined by my favourite two swans, and we're here in the heart of Northamptonshire at Stanwick Lakes. Now Stanwick Lakes is quite a renowned carp fishery. I think there's 4 day ticket lakes on the complex, including one of the well-known syndicate lakes called Roman at the back there. But we're here today fishing Elsons. Now Elsons is basically a 6-acre lake. It's tree-lined and it's quite a peculiar shape. You know, it's got some beautiful overhanging trees, it's crystal clear, and it makes these fish in here really, really nice. It's well known for some scaly fish, as well as those battle-scarred, gnarly old commons that have been around in the Nene Valley for, well, an eternity really. The fish in here have all got proper character, you know. They're all nice and dark with it being crystal clear water, but there's always a chance of a lump to be caught as well. What I'm doing here is basically just a bit of leading around. I've got a small 1 3/4 ounce lead on there. Trying to find a nice spot, so I did get a nice drop there. And it's relatively smooth. There's, like I say, there's silkweed all over the place in here. You know, so if you drag it too much, and this one, you'll see I brought a fair dollop of silkweed back there. You know, and the lake is absolutely covered in this. It's not a bad thing, to be fair, but you know, silkweed is the natural larder. So you find all the snails and the crustaceans and the shrimps and the bloodworm all living inside the silkweed. So I'm looking for somewhere where it's not too deep, where it will allow me to present a bait on. So there's a little bit of silkweed out there, nothing to worry about. You know, I can quite happily present one of my rigs on top of there, tiny little PVA bag on to mask the hook. So to make sure I hit that spot every time, I'm going right down to the corner of the lake. I know as soon as we lose the light, I've got a couple of trees there on the far margin as my sighters for recasting, if I'm lucky enough to catch a fish in darkness. So we'll get this on the sticks, we'll get it wrapped up. Okay, so just a quick look at what rigs and presentation I'm using while I'm here on this day ticket fishery. So I've kept things really simple, really. This is our £20 Abyss Link. This is a soft, supple braid. Its main benefits are it has a lot of Kevlar in there, which will help it sink, but the Kevlar also aids it twofold. One, its sinking properties, and two, it's extremely tough as well. So if there's any little pea mussels or snails in a silkweed I'm fishing, I've got a bit of confidence there as well. And that's down to our XE7 hook, which is a curved shank hook, a little bit of shrink tubing, and you can see the tiny little 12mm boilies that I'm using there. Basically, I've just taken the top off and put a bit of the Sight EVA foam on there, which is from our zigger liners. You get these two-tone zigger liners, usually black and white or black and yellow. I've just cut that in half, taken the white section off, and that just lifts it up ever so slightly. And I'd say my rig's about 30 centimetres long, just because this is going into the silt. So I'm fishing this on a helicopter setup with a drop-off lead, you know, and you imagine that can run up on the leader, and that can basically settle down on top of any silkweed. And just to give me a little bit more confidence, I'm threading a small mesh bag of the crumb. So this is a really fine boilie crumb. Threading that onto there and burying the hook inside, just to keep the hook point nice and clean inside. So when you imagine that's melted on the bottom, and that little bait's just going to be wafting over the top of a pile of bait, it's good enough for a bite. Okay, so here we are on a day ticket fishery. Going to have a quick look at what bait and how I'm using it. Now, bait is really essential when it comes to day ticket fishing, and to be honest, I see so many people over time, the most important aspect of fishing is bait, and they skimp on it. So I'm an RG Baits angler, so I'm using the RG Baits Formula Red and Crab. So for day ticket fishing, I've scaled right down. These are the smallest ones they do. These are the freezer baits. And bearing in mind, you know, there's a lot of anglers on here at the moment. You know, we're just coming to the second week of lockdown now, and every peg on this lake's, you know, it's done. So traditionally, you see guys out there with 16mm and 18mm boilies, throw them away. I've gone the opposite end of the scale, and I've gone right down to 10, 12mm boilies. And I'm mixing those. Well, I blended a load up, proper Blue Peter style. Here's what I did earlier. So I blended a load up so it's not really fine, there's just chunks, halves, there's crushed ones in there. And basically I'm mixing the two with the help of some pellet. Now the pellet is a variety. I do it at the beginning of the year, where I just basically go to a tackle shop and I buy a variety of greenlit mussel pellets, trout pellets, krill pellets, halibut pellets, and I mix them a whole lot, and they are basically my staple, if you like, backup feed that I mix with everything else. So what I tend to do is take equal amounts of the boilie crumb, equal amounts of the pellet, and then I'll give it a light scattering of the boilies over the top. And how am I applying this? Well, I'm applying it with a small and medium sized spom. Again, I don't want to make too much disturbance. You know, you can imagine, like I said before, the lake's really, really busy. Every man and his dog's at it at the moment, you know, trying to get a bite. So the day ticket fishing, it's under a lot of pressure. So using a small spom allows me to present fine particle, if you like, enough for an attraction on the bottom of the lake there, enough to nick a bite. And I'm not putting a great deal out. You know, if you imagine, there's quite a few 40-pounders in this day ticket, there's a good head of 30s, and every peg is taken on there. So I need to be a little bit stealthy, if you like. You know, last night I was spodding into darkness. It's usually the quiet time on this lake, so I've done a bit of research. The fish don't normally get caught at night, it's normally through the daytime. So into darkness, I'd already found my spots during the day, wrapped them up, and into darkness last night I was applying some bait, and it's paid off with the fish that I had this morning. So the only thing that I add to this is something a little bit different. So I'm using the bloodworm and the Daphnia from RG Baits. Now when I put this into the crumb, it actually makes like a really damp ground bait, which is a really nice texture, and obviously packed full of amino acids and attractants from bloodworm in there. What fish swims that doesn't like bloodworm? When I present one of those on a hook that's critically balanced over the top of it, you know, how could a fish that swim past that resist it? So there you go, a little insight into my adventures fishing a day ticket fishery. Like I say, we're down here at Northamptonshire on Elsons Lake on the Stanwick complex. Unfortunately this morning when I had my take, the cameraman hadn't arrived. So we did manage to get some of the release footage as we did some stills and things like that, but what a fish. You know, realistically, going into my second 24 hours, if I don't have another take now, believe me, I'm going to leave at this complex being more than happy. So to end the session on a fish known scar, well, end this filming session because unfortunately our cameraman has to go now. I'm here for another 24, so fingers crossed. I'm confident knowing that my baits are on the spot, they're presentable. I've got some good rigs out there, and we'll see. Now, one thing I will mention is, if you want to stay up to date with all our fishing adventures and our Prologic product videos, then give our YouTube channel a like, make sure you subscribe to it, and make sure you follow our Prologic page for all our new up and coming products and updates. Till next time, take care.